All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Chase Shantz. To my right, got Justin Lacey. Justin, what's going on with you?
Man, it's the NFL playoffs. It sucks that our Cincinnati Bengals are not there, but it's my favorite time of the year, man. The road to the Super Bowl starts this weekend, and I'm excited to get ready, get rocking with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming on and everything. It is that great time of year. Unfortunately, the Bengals are not in it, but the old term, better luck next year. Maybe that's going to be the case. If you guys are watching the video or listening to us, like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube. Just do everything with the Apple Podcasts. Hit the follow, five. You guys know the whole deal. You listen to a ton of these shows already, but we really do appreciate that. But we're going to go through like every single wild card game because when it's super wild card weekend, it's really super. It used to be 4 games, and then 2020 they added 6. They added the extra team in the playoff mix, and we're going to go through all 6 of these games. So you'll see Justin 3 times in these videos, and we got a couple special guests that will released here in the next couple of days in the NFC playoffs. I'm excited for this. Not excited about the team who's playing in this game, though. The number 5 Cleveland Browns. They're taking on the number 4 Houston Texans. I got to give credit to the Browns. They really overcame adversity this year, and they've done a very good job in that regard. They have a great defense. Offense has been cooking right now. And then the Houston Texans, a team that nobody expected to see hosting a playoff game, let alone being in the playoffs. CJ Stroud, that dude's on another level right now. Excited to see this matchup. It's a 4:30 game on NBC Saturday, January the 13th. Our good friend Noah Eagle is going to be on the play-by-play broadcast for NBC with Todd Blackledge and Catherine Tappan. Browns are 2.5-point favorites at the moment. The over-under 44.5, and the game is indoors. You might be wondering why I said that, or there's going to be a couple more games that we're going to talk about. That weather is definitely going to be a huge factor in this one. Justin, when you're looking at the matchup, though, what's the first thing that just sticks out to you when it comes to the Browns and Texans?
The Cleveland Browns defense going up against CJ Stroud. And is CJ Stroud ready to handle that type of ferocious pass rush in Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith in the postseason? Look, both teams are coming in here. I feel like that they are playing with a little bit of house money. Okay. Cleveland Browns, they battled some adversity over the course of the season, losing Deshaun Watson, having PJ Walker, then Dorian Thompson Robinson, and obviously Joe Flacco that they plucked from raking leaves sitting on the couch thinking that he was going to be retired. Now he's coming in here, playing balling out for the Browns. I got to give him credit for that. And, obviously they started Jay Driscoll. Look, I know the Browns are getting a lot of credit for all the quarterback adversity that they faced, but let's be honest here, man. They didn't really need to do all of that movement at the quarterback position.
That was a
I
lot.
thought I thought DTR and PJ Walker, they would have been just fine. Okay, I just need to make that clear. I'm not taking anything away from what Joe Flacco has helped
Flacco's been
the
great, but
Browns
yeah.
accomplish. But I feel like that was just doing too much. I feel like that at the time it would look like a desperation attempt to just say, hey, Flacco, we need some insurance policy here. So, and then as he came and they elevated him to the active roster, they said, all right, PJ Walker, we're sitting you down. Dorian Thompson Robinson, we're sitting you down. Joe Flacco, let's see what you can do. And he surprised the hell out of him. So credit to him. He's made a hell of a weapon out of David Njoku. That's another matchup nightmare that I don't know if the Texans secondary will be ready to see right off the bat. Same with Amari Cooper. Yeah, the run game of the Browns is always going to be tough because they are naturally a running bootleg play action kind of team when they pass, but they're more of a running team.
Yep.
But I just can't stop thinking about how good CJ Stroud has been in his rookie year. And I think that that's the exciting point that everybody can't wait to see. It was a little bit of, luck there for them too to get the division crown. Jacksonville just absolutely mucked it up down the stretch,
Fell off a
losing the
cliff.
last. How many lose? 4 out of 5?
I think
5
they
out of
started.
6?
They 5 out of 6. They were 8-3, and then we beat them on Monday night, and they did not
They
recover
lost
from it.
4 consecutive games after
Yep.
that. They lost to every single AFC North team. Obviously, they beat Pittsburgh earlier, but
Yeah.
they lost to the Bengals, the Browns, the Ravens. And then, they lost the 4th game, and then they
Yep.
won against, I can't even recall who now
Panthers,
at this point.
Panthers, and that's
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So
And yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it was very fortunate sledding for the Houston Texans to be in this spot. A lot like how Jacksonville was last year when
Yeah.
they won a division, when the Titans melted down the stretch, and they just, hey, we win this one and we're in.
Yeah,
So
it was right
karma
there.
kind of bit them in the ass a little bit there with the Jags. But hey, kudos to the Houston Texans. They won a game that they needed to win. They won big time games against like the Bengals with a healthy Joe Burrow, I should say.
Yep.
So you got to give them their credit too. Both teams are, like I said, they're playing with house money here. This should be a very exciting matchup. I tend to lean towards the Texans just because of the quarterback play is a little stronger than the Cleveland Browns. You do worry about the regression that Joe Flacco is going to finally hit that aged wall, but I can say the same thing about CJ Stroud. He hasn't hit that rookie wall yet. It may happen this weekend. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I like this matchup, and I think that this is going to be a great way to kick off Super Wildcard weekend.
We're going to see with this. I mean, Joe Flacco, since he's been starting, since really the start of December, led the league in passing over that month, 1,616 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. An interesting stat, Browns quarterbacks this year, 24 touchdowns with 23 interceptions, and they've won 11 games. Testament to their defense in that regard. 60% completion percentage. CJ Stroud, on the other hand, 63% completion percentage, 4,108 passing yards. I think he's like the third quarterback ever to go for 4,000 yards in a season. 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's been absolutely balling. Those two teams played each other on Christmas Eve, and the Browns ended up winning the game 36-22. Amari Cooper went off in that game. He had a career day. No CJ Stroud in that one. That's what makes this matchup much more interesting. If he wasn't playing, then we'd be like, all right, it's probably going to be the same dose of medicine that the Texans took. Rushing game, Jerome Ford, Devin Singletary, both guys that are not starters. They stepped in pretty well, over 200 rushing attempts for both of them, 800 plus yards rushing. Both have 4 touchdowns. It's literally, looking in the mirror with these two. So, Jerome Ford, the Cincinnati guy, shout out to him, but not shout out to him because I'll be real. I don't want the Browns to win. I don't think we both do, but we're given, very legit insight on this. Receiving wise, 2 receivers that really, we know Amari Cooper's a good receiver. Okay. He's been kind of under the radar and everything. 72 catches, 1,250 yards, 5 touchdowns this year. But then another guy, Nico Collins, 80 receptions for 1,297 yards, 8 touchdowns. He didn't even play against the Bengals in that game. Justin
Noah Brown was the one that ruined us.
Noah Brown looked like that, and that's going to be a big person in that game as well. So we're going to see. And another interesting stat though, CJ Stroud's one of the best quarterbacks against zone, and a lot of teams like to throw zone out there, but the Browns, one of the teams that play the most man-to-man defense because of that pass rush up front. And CJ Stroud, when it comes to being ranked against against the man-to-man pass defense, 27th in the league. So that's going to be something to watch out for when it comes to aggressiveness. Defensively, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, 100 plus tackles, 72 solo tackles. Blake Cashman on the other side for the Texans, 106 tackles, and 56 of them are solo. Pass rushers, Myles Garrett, 14 sacks, 17 tackles for a loss. He's an absolute freak of nature, game wrecker, all the labeling stuff that you could put for a pass rusher. And then Jonathan Greenard, 12 and a half sacks, 15 tackles for a loss. He's someone that you kind of got to look out for. Him and Will Anderson Jr. They got a bunch of guys up front. And D'Amico Ryans is going to have these guys ready. That's going to be the big thing. If they're able to turn the foot, make the Browns, turn the ball over, put the ball in harm's way, and the Texans can, play a clean game of football and efficient, then it can be, it can be anyone's game at that point. But, and then, down to the, the DBs and stuff, Martin Emerson Jr., 4 interceptions on 14 passes defended. And then Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU's had a great season, 5 interceptions, 13 passes defended. These defenses, Justin, we've seen both defensive play against Cincinnati Bengals and have some success on them. Other than like Myles Garrett and all the, the big name players that the Browns have, who's an X factor in this game on defense for either team?
So I'm going to start with the Browns defense, because, again, they're a division opponent. We see them twice a year. They've given Joe Burrow and the Bengals fits for the last 4 years, and they're a problem. They're a handful. Their corner, they have like the best trio corner in all of football, in my opinion.
Really?
We obviously know about Denzel Ward, but Martin Emerson Jr. and Greg Newsome are 2 of the best corners, too, that people don't really talk about as much because they're not Pro Bowl status yet. But, if one of them or both of them were on separate teams or other teams, you will be seeing that they'll get some of that recognition too. And they kind of flow, they flow really well within each other. I think they usually put Greg Newsome more in the slot, but he can play boundary outside if you need him to. We already know what Denzel Ward can do. He's a lockdown corner, like he's earned it this year, especially. That's the matchup that I would think that the Texans need to be careful with the most, because I do not know if they got the horses, even with CJ Stroud throwing them the ball, to be able to overcome that. Because CJ Stroud, he likes to mimic his game a little bit after Joe Burrow. Joe
Yep.
Burrow is a pure dropback passer, but every time we go against the Cleveland Browns secondary, even with our receiving trio that we have, it always just felt like that they knew how to stop us before we could even get started.
Yep.
The Texans may run into the exact same problem with their receiving trio, even the tight end, because we forgot to mention Dalton Schultz is a great security blanket at tight end for CJ Stroud. Martin Emerson Jr., he can cover tight ends too. All of them can.
Yeah.
And Juan Thornhill is a really good safety, a veteran safety that we've known really well from our rivalries with the Chiefs over the last couple of years.
Mhm.
But I really like his addition. Well, Grant Delpit, I'm not sure if he's playing because he's been hurt.
Yeah.
But he's been a really great safety play for them as well, too. But I will say their corner trio for the Cleveland Browns defense. Now, for the Texans defense, you already mentioned them already. It was Derek Stingley Jr.
Yep.
I think that he is becoming that guy. He was the first cornerback taken before Sauce Gardner a year ago.
Yeah.
So
Third
he's
overall.
finally living up to that name. He was injured all of last year, most of last year, or I think all of it last year, if I'm not
It was a
mistaken.
good chunk of last year. Yeah.
Got you. Well, you didn't even hear his name. Sauce Gardner
Exactly.
was the one that took his name by
Yep.
storm, and you just didn't care about any other corner from there.
Yeah,
And
this
that's the
man's having a
crazy
Chet
part.
Home. He's like Chet Holmgren this year, man. I mean, it's second year, but he's a rookie now, huh?
Right, but if it feels like he's a rookie because it's his
Yeah.
first full year starting, kind of like William Jackson for most Bengals fans that don't like William Jackson. But William Jackson, he missed all of his rookie year.
Yeah, he did.
But that second year, he did really good.
He was legit.
I think that Derek Stingley Jr. is obviously better than William Jackson, ever was and ever will
Top 3
be.
pick. Yep.
But I don't feel like there's no drop off in his game. I feel like that if you designate him to travel with the number one receiver, and in this instance, it's going to be Amari Cooper, he can roll with him.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, and why Amari Cooper went off is, man, Flacco, he just made some really good throws.
He did.
It wasn't
He
no
did.
check down throws and you just skating it for 100 yards into the end zone. No, he was making really big throws. And I just feel like that Amari Cooper just had a day. So I think that Derek Stingley Jr. is the real X factor matchup that you can neutralize him, so that way he's not going to have that kind of a day again on you. But at the end of the day, you still got to know how to stop that tight end in David Njoku, which
Yeah.
I do kind of like Jalen Petrie in a sort of way. I was about to say Jimmy Ward. Is Jimmy Ward on that team?
Jimmy Ward is on that team. Yeah.
I don't know if he's hurt. That's the thing. I haven't really got a chance to look at their depth chart of their roster
It's
so
an
much.
interesting back end, but yes.
It's a really interesting secondary overall. Like you said about D'Amico Ryans, he's got that. He's going to get his defense ready and prepared to play this game, even if they're young and dumb and they're not supposed to be here kind of vibe
Hey,
or
man.
whatever.
You don't know what you don't know.
That.
You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
So,
That's the big thing in that regard. But I didn't mean to take you there. But I'm going to ask you this, though.
No, you good.
Cleveland Browns. Give me a couple keys to their success in this one.
The keys to their success. Obviously, they got to run the ball, establish the run. They're one of the best running teams in all of football. We've seen it in our division for a number of years now. They sport one of the better unit O-lines in the league. And Jerome Ford, like you mentioned, Jerome Ford been running that rock to the point I'd be forgetting that Nick Chubb got hurt.
Yeah.
I really do. You still got Kareem Hunt back there that can take over if you need it. So I really like that as their key to the game. Neutralize some of that pass rush that their young pass rushers like Will Anderson Jr. can come and he can tee off. But the Texans also got to be a team to play with a lead too. I don't know if they are a team in the postseason. We're going to find out this weekend if they're a team that can either play from ahead or play from behind.
Yeah.
Something tells me that they can do both, but I haven't seen it yet, and I don't want to give them that label if I haven't seen it. So that's the number one key to success for the Cleveland Browns. And for number two is for Joe Flacco, sticking with the offense. You can't turn the ball over. Dude, this is the playoffs. We know that Joe Flacco from 2012 made that insane run when he was with the Baltimore Ravens, but people forget that he was very kind of mediocre during the regular season with a few really nice games, but nothing that insinuated that he was an MVP caliber player. The team overall kind of was, but not him. So with that being said, he's showing that he has this MVP-esque like ability with the Browns, kind of rejuvenated their spirits a bit. But I fear that you may see him regress to the average and go back to the means of the average, I should say, and be like old man Joe Flacco again and not play good football. So those are the two things that I will say is the major keys to success for the Cleveland Browns. Establish the run game early. Keep doing what you're doing. Like you've been playing, you've been balling out all
If it ain't
season long.
broke,
You
don't
still
fix it.
beat this
Yep.
Texans. You still beat this same exact Texans team, albeit without CJ Stroud. You still won. Okay. That's all
Yep.
you need to know. So keep doing what you're doing from this point on. That's got you there. And don't try to stray away. Don't get too cute. Because if you do, you're gonna find yourself even sitting up at home on the couch like us. So that's what we're gonna be doing.
Yeah, we want the other team, the Cleveland Browns, to be sitting on the couch. But again, I reiterate, but then we're also giving you the lowdown scoop and everything, the legit thing. Texans, for me, key to success for the Texans, they have to win the line of scrimmage against the Cleveland Browns. Easier said than done. The Browns are one of the best teams at winning the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. They got to hold up for CJ Stroud when it comes to pass protection. Can't have Myles Garrett coming loose on, strip sack, all that stuff. And that goes into winning the turnover battle. Not necessarily, you want to play a clean game, but you also want to as well force turnovers against Cleveland Browns and then put your offense in a shorter field and let CJ Stroud have a little bit more comfort in that regard. And, what's a quarterback's best friend? A good running game. So that comes back to winning the line of scrimmage and running the football well enough. And really just, it's pretty simple when it comes to making the Browns one-dimensional and making yourself multi-dimensional. That's what it comes down to. And if the Texans are able to do that, I think they got a good shot at winning this game. But let's hear your prediction, though. What do you think is going to happen Saturday?
Oh, man. This is apparently going to be one of the fun games. Here's what I think is how I think it may play out. Playoffs are always unpredictable for the most part, even though there's some obvious ones. You got a 4 seed and a 5 seed. Do you remember the 2009 Wildcard game with the Arizona Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers? It was Aaron Rodgers' first playoff appearance.
Oh, I definitely remember that.
A lot of people don't remember is that the Packers, young Aaron Rodgers at the time, with going against old man Kurt Warner, they were behind. They started behind like a couple of scores back. But they ended up having to, fight harder to kind of keep up with this track meet. Yep. And when it went to overtime and they got that ball to start the overtime, you thought that the Packers were going to have this insane come from behind win from this great 51-45 shootout that it was ultimately ended up being. Why does it feel like that? Something tells me that this is going to be the game that happens again like that. I'm not saying they may be the exact same score, but we might see a high scoring game here. You get Flacco's playing out of his mind. He's rejuvenated the Browns. CJ Stroud is killing it right now. I don't see a rookie wall. He's hitting that at any point in time during his season so far. You might be able to see that. Now, I'm reluctant to think that might happen because the Browns defense is insane. So I'm going to reserve my prediction. I'm going to tend to lean the Browns here, even though I do root for the Texans more than anything. As a division hater rival, I should say.
I feel you.
I'll go Browns 27-24. Close game. They cover. Yep. I'll give it the Browns the dub.
I'm going to go
their house money victory.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the same kind of note, but I'm going to go a little lower scoring. I think the Browns are going to win this game 20-16. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think the Texans are going to, I don't know if they're going to be able to cash in. I think they might be cashing in 3 more than 7, but it happens with that regard. I think the Browns offense will start off, quick, but then I think it'll kind of slow down a little bit. Then I think it'll pick back up later on in the game and just be enough. But again, we're Texans fans this weekend, but again, I keep reiterating this because I don't want people to, get upset about it. We're giving you the legit scoop though. All right. We ain't BSing nothing. So if you think we're going to BS nothing, man, get on out. So there we go. Check us out on the next video though. It's going to be coming out in a little bit. Dolphins, Chiefs. That's going to be a good one. We'll see.